There was something cold about the way his shoes clicked on the office floor. Each step was sharp, steady, and too loud, like a clock ticking down. He didn't say hello to the receptionist or even nod at the security guard. He just walked straight, in briefcase in hand, like he already owned the building. In a way, he did. His name was Christopher Rains, the new CEO. Around 35 years old, with that confident spark in his eyes, like he believed he could reshape the entire company by himself. His arrival had been announced just last week through a bright, positive email about leadership changes. But after 17 years in this company, I had seen enough of these changes to know what that usually meant. Someone at the top wanted heads to roll, and it wouldn't be their own. I watched from my small glass-walled office. I wasn't quite executive level, but far enough from the loud interns and buzzing marketing team that I could focus. Christopher didn't knock. He barged into meetings, asked questions without waiting for answers, and walked the floors like he was scouting for weaknesses. He smiled when people stumbled, not in a cruel way, but like someone who had already made up their mind about you. He didn't visit me that first day. I wasn't on his radar. That was fine by me. I preferred being invisible. At lunch, a few of us older staff gathered in the break room, people who didn't try to compete with the fresh energy of the 20-somethings. Someone joked, "He reminds me of a substitute teacher who thinks he can fix the school in a week." We laughed, softly, carefully. I stirred my tea and stayed quiet. I had outlasted 3 CEOs. One left for health issues, another was caught in a legal mess, and the last tried outsourcing too much too fast. No matter how sharp their suits were, they always made the same mistake. They believed that experience came with a title. Later, that day, I passed Christopher in the hallway. He glanced at my ID badge, then looked right through me. He didn't ask what I did. He didn't care that I was holding the quarterly reports he'd probably quote in his next speech. To him, I was just another part of the machine. But I could feel it. That strange tension in the air. Like the feeling right before a thunderstorm. Nothing had happened yet. But it would. I could tell by the way people stopped chatting when managers walked by the pale face of the HR director. I closed my office door and sat at my desk. I knew this silence. It was the silence before a shakeup. The next week passed like water under a locked door. Slow, quiet, but impossible to stop. There were no emails about layoffs, no announcements, just whispers in the hallways, closed-door meetings, and eyes. That didn't meet yours. I kept my head down. I finished reports. I coordinated calls with our Chinese partner, Gold Peak Tech, and smoothed over accounting issues with polite emails in Mandarin. I didn't see Christopher much, but I heard about him constantly. He moved like a cold front through the departments, leaving behind nervous laughs and quiet resentment. Then the real changes began. Mid-level managers, some with 10 or 20 years at the company, started disappearing. Called into short meetings, and then gone. No farewell emails, no goodbyes. Just empty desks and quick boxes. Their replacements came fast. Most were friends of Christopher, people with perfect LinkedIn profiles, shiny degrees, and no idea how our business really worked. They asked basic questions. They made jokes about our old-fashioned ways. They called it modernization. I called it slow disaster. I stayed silent, watched, listened. People like Christopher always mistook silence for approval. But it was survival. That Thursday morning, I felt the real danger. Christopher was leading a team meeting. He stood at the front like a general who didn't trust his own soldiers. He flipped through slides too fast to read, saying words like efficiency, cost centers, and agility. "We need to be leaner," he said with that same polished smile. "We need to remove waste and focus on strategic growth. Every department will be reviewed." He didn't look at me. He didn't have to. I looked around the room. My coworkers were silent. Some looked worried. Some stared blankly. When the meeting ended, I left with the others, careful not to be first or last, but then I felt someone beside me. "Christopher. Margaret, right?" he asked, like he was trying to remember where he had seen me. "Yes," I said calmly. He smiled. "What exactly do you handle again?" I could have told him my title, but I knew it wouldn't matter. "I manage communications with Gold Peak Tech and other Chinese partners," I said. "I don't just translate. I handle business etiquette, cultural expectations, negotiations. It's more involved. He nodded, distracted. Well, good, good. We'll be streamlining a lot. Appreciate the work. And just like that, he was gone. I stood there for a moment. The lights buzzed overhead. My hands didn't shake. But inside, I felt something cold settle in. My bones. He didn't understand my job. Worse, he didn't care to. I passed Linda from HR on the way back to my office. She looked up, gave me a sad little smile. It said, "Be careful." I returned to my desk and typed an update email to Mr. Ling at Gold Peak. A normal task, just another day. But I couldn't shake the feeling that soon, even this wouldn't be mine to do. Friday arrived with a heavy sky and an even heavier mood. The clouds hung low. The air smelled like rain and something else. Dread. The office was too quiet. People whispered in corners, eyes glancing at closed doors. Rumors said another round of realignments was happening before the weekend. At 10:15 a.m., my email pinged. Meeting request, Christopher Rains, location, conference room B, time 10:30 a.m., no agenda. No notes. I sat very still. My hands rested gently on my lap. Then I stood up, adjusted my blazer, walked to the conference room with calm, steady steps. Like maybe, just maybe, I could control the outcome if I moved carefully enough. Inside, Christopher was already sitting at the head of the table. A folder lay in front of him. Linda from HR sat 2 chairs down, her face still, but her eyes wouldn't meet mine. "Margaret, good to see you," Christopher said quickly. "Please, have a seat." I sat. He opened the folder. Didn't waste time. "We've been reviewing our internal structure, and after careful consideration, we've decided to consolidate certain roles. Your position, while valuable in the past, no longer aligns with the direction we're moving." He said the words smoothly, like he'd practiced them. "We've partnered with an outside firm for language services, so your responsibilities will be covered going forward." He paused, smiled a little. "Of course, we appreciate your years of service. HR has prepared a severance package, 2 months' pay and vacation days. Very fair." Linda slid an envelope across the table. I didn't move. Christopher looked at me, waiting. "I know this might be difficult, but change is necessary for growth." I looked at him. No anger, no fear, just calm. "You're sure you can manage without me?" I asked softly. He chuckled, condescending. "We'll be just fine." I stood up, left the envelope on the table. "I wish you good luck on Monday," I said quietly. He blinked, confused by the strange words, but then he smiled again, confident. "Thank you, Margaret. Best of luck to you, too." I walked out without looking back, past Linda's sad eyes, past the curious stares of coworkers, down the hallway that no longer felt like home. Outside, the rain had begun, soft at first, then stronger. By the time I reached my car, the world outside my windshield was a blur of gray and water. I sat there for a moment, hands on the wheel, not crying, not shaking, just still. They thought I was replaceable, that a contract firm could handle what I had done for 17 years, that trust, culture, and real knowledge could be outsourced. They were wrong, and Monday would prove it.